All right. Hello, everybody. What is today? Thursday. Happy Thursday. In the wonderfully warm month of October, we have a special lunchtime edition of the Lehigh Valley with Love podcast. And today we're diving into an important issue. This is something that always gets me when you're at the polls. These referendums sometimes are tough to decipher. And this is one of those opportunities where we have to kind of talk about it. So we're going to learn more. I'm going to learn because I don't know much about this stuff either. Luckily, I have some experts on it. We're going to be talking about the proposed transfer tax hike that's on the November ballot in the city of Allentown. And this isn't just a topic for home buyers or sellers. It's for a renter, anyone who cares about what happens in Allentown. And we're going to talk more about it. I want to quick thank our sponsors, Molly's Irish Grill and Sports Pub, Wood Creek Event Center, WDIY 88.1, Banco Beverage Company, and of course our friend Michael Bernadyn with Remax we'll be talking to today. So all the introductions are out of the way. I want to get into it and welcome our friends from GLVR. Could you guys, well, first of all, thank you for coming on, and could you introduce yourselves? We'll start with Asher first.
Sure. Well, thanks for having us, George. As we talked about, I feel like we're in the part of the Apollo space program here, ready to take off. But Asher Schiavone, I'm the Government Affairs Director here at GLVR.
Thanks for having us, George. I'm Lori Campbell. I'm the 2024 President of Greater Lehigh Valley Realtors.
George, always good, my friend. Always good to see you and be back on here. Appreciate you having us back on again.
Sure.
Mike Bernadyn, of the 2024 President-elect, 2025 President for Greater Lehigh Valley.
So I want to get right into it. I know that this election is, one of the most important elections of our lifetimes. However, there are other things on the ballot that maybe we're not thinking about when we head there. And this Allentown's deed transfer tax referendum is one of them. And the point here today is to really clarify some information. So can we start with question number one? What exactly does the referendum ask voters to decide on?
Yeah, so the wording of the referendum, and I could probably do it from memory because, we've talked about this so much, but it's voters will see this going into the voting booth and they've seen it on their mail-in ballot. So the question is, shall Section 807B revenue, thank you, of the Home Rule Charter of the City of Allentown be amended to allow City Council by ordinance to remove the deed transfer tax? And we're obviously urging voters to vote no on this. Because that's what they've already decided in previous elections. In 2002, 2004, and 2005, they were asked this question with more context, and they voted it down overwhelmingly every time. And so our messaging has to be clear in face of an unclear referendum. So the question that you had up, it might sound clear on the surface, but when you dive deeper into it, a vote yes would be a vote to I know we'll get into this a little bit later.
Okay.
There we go. Would be a vote to unlock the tax and allow City Council, the administration, to raise it, which they've publicly sought an increase to this tax. A vote no would be to keep that tax locked at the level it's been since 1996, which is currently 0.5% for the city. Overall, it's a 2% tax.
And so this is something that has remained unchanged. Is why is it coming up again? Is it just the city continues to bring it up every once in a while, or
it seems that way? I mean, it's been 20 years since they last brought it up.
Okay,
I couldn't tell you the reason why they want to unlock it. I can tell you that they've said that they want to raise money for affordable housing and blight, and community services. But I know we've had them in to talk about it, and there is no clear plan, George, as far as where this money is going to be going. There is no concrete plan for us to consider. And again, our biggest problem with this referendum is the wording. It's the wording, and we could argue about the deed transfer tax and how it makes Allentown less affordable, which it will if this were to pass. But right now, we just want voters to be very clear on what a yes vote is and what a no vote means.
Could you, for a lay person, you're looking at them, can you kind of explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old? What changes here, when I'm going to sell my home or buy a home?
One of you guys want to? You guys see it every day.
Yeah, sure. So right now there's a 2% transfer tax. Customarily, it's split 1% paid by the buyer, 1% paid by the seller at closing. That's been a little bit negotiated over the past hot market that we're just coming out of, or maybe still in, where sometimes buyers have been, if they had the money to do so, they've been offering to pay both sides of the transfer tax as an incentive for the seller to take their offer. And we saw that quite a bit in a multiple offer situation. Raising the transfer tax makes it more unaffordable for first-time home buyers, especially who already are very limited resources. We find that, investors have deeper pockets. Investors are going to be able to afford to buy where maybe first-time home buyers are not.
Yeah.
And so you have less home ownership potentially in the city. And we all know that home ownership builds stronger communities.
And Laura,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, just very quickly, George, she talked about the developers who are developing these properties, which is great. We want to see the housing stock increase of all levels. And the thing I want to mention is that if their cost of business goes up, the developers, we've talked to developers in Allentown, they're going to pass that on to the tenants.
Yes, which means higher rents. So,
and this, comes. My next question is directly at you guys in saying why are you so interested in making sure that the public is informed on this, and you're encouraging people to vote this way. So can you tell me that? Can you give me a little bit more information on the GLVR's direct?
Sure. So our mission statement is real basic. We are the voice of real estate, advocating for the preservation of our industry and private property rights. And to that effect, we are a bipartisan organization. I want to make that very, very clear. This is not a red or blue issue. This is it's a citizen issue. Anything to add, Matt?
No, the biggest thing, George, is, why we're pushing this, and it is about the language on the ballot and everything is, our jobs are, as real estate professionals, are to advocate for our consumers, advocate for our clients. When language like this is put out there, that could be a very big impact for a home buyer, home seller, someone like you, George, that may, I want to buy my first investment property. I already own one property, but I want to buy my own first, create a portfolio, quote unquote, invest in a different way. And it may price you out of something like this. So us pushing this information, we would just want to make sure everybody is well informed of what is actually on the ballot and what they're actually voting yes or no for. I know it's obviously a heightened time, and we are very much overwhelmed with all of the Hulu ads and Netflix ads and the ads that are out there. Prime Video and everything else, you can't even get away from it anymore. So we want to make sure that something like this doesn't go unnoticed, and it's not just we're checking the box and people are informed.
And that's, well, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, and we didn't want it to come to a public campaign. we were at Allentown City Council meetings twice to try and either get it thrown out or at least advocate for more transparent wording. Because we know that they've written good referendums before in the past, because they've included, the word increase. They let the public know that, hey, this tax is going to be increased. That's not what you're seeing here. So we tried to work with them on the wording. When that went to the Lehigh County Board of Elections, we went to the Board of Elections to advocate that this referendum is thrown out, and maybe we try it again. And so here we are. We do have to do a public campaign, and I just want you to know that that's how we got here.
Right, and we're really want to inform people. So is GLVR telling voters how to vote, or is this campaign purely informational?
Mixed bag. I'm going to speak.
Right.
Hey, you got the T-shirt on.
I know. Yeah, I got my T-shirt.
You guys are all in. We're highly suggesting. Yeah.
The fact is, the true telling of it all is, are we sitting here saying vote no? Yes, we are, because we want this to be vetted more. We want this to be. This was rushed. To be quite honest, this whole thing was very rushed by the city. Rushed to get onto the ballot was what they did. And that's where we stepped in and said, well, time out. We want this vetted a little more. We want a little more of where is this going to go outside of the City of Allentown General Fund. They're talking about an estimated $2.3 million in revenue that's going to come from this potentially just in the first year. And where's it going? And basically, I don't want to say it's a shrugged shoulder, but it's going to go to the City of Allentown General Fund. This is kind of how they described it. And when it first was brought up, it was about an affordable housing fund or blight property fund. or grant program or something, but nothing's been created. And that's kind of where we're saying, wait, time out. We want to inform and get that knowledge out there to the public, make sure they have the awareness and the empowerment to say yes, no, what they're actually voting on. But that's why we're standing here saying time out. We're not opposed to this necessarily, but we got to have this vetted a little more. There needs to be a little more backstory to it.
And in light of a very unclear referendum, we need a very clear message. And this message is not something that the three of us and other staff here came into the boardroom and said, we're going to tell people to vote no. Allentown residents have voted. They've opposed it 84% in 2002, 67% in 2004, and 70% in 2005. So we're just taking what the voters have previously stated and previously voted, and just again, very clear message in light of a very unclear question.
And this is might be the golden question, because it's for people who are in there like me. You see this referendum, we're like, some of these things are sometimes difficult to decipher, even if you read them 3 or 4 times over. But if I'm a renter, why should I care about this in Allentown, of course?
Well, the fact is, just in the direct spirit of Allentown, if you're a renter or anything of that, it could potentially, you're an investor that owns that property, may look at this and say, well, I'm going to have to pass this cost on to my tenants. So that rent price may go up. If house A and house B across the street sell, and that investor says, well, I'm going to put the rental price at this amount. Well, probably it's going to be passed on down the line. And that's the other end of this. It's not just, and we were talking about the city of Allentown residents, because of course this is who it's been in. But the fact is, at the end of the day, if something like this does not get vetted properly and gets pushed through and gets whatever and swept under the carpet, this is going to get passed on to other municipalities, cities, boroughs, and everything else, which ultimately is going to affect the entire Greater Lehigh Valley. Again, Greater Lehigh Valley Realtors Association.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
Our immediate concern is that maybe investors will take their money elsewhere and say, I'm not going to buy in Allentown, or first-time home buyers that maybe grew up in Allentown are going to say, what, it's more affordable to go to the next township over because the transfer tax is less. And we've seen other cities raise their transfer tax by a lot.
And that's the one thing, George, to really not to jump on anybody, but the big thing is this isn't something that's uncommon. When we talk about Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, obviously larger metro areas, they have a higher transfer tax. But then when we look at I'll say locally, Reading and Wilkes-Barre have increased their transfer taxes. And if you go back and just look at some of their things, it hasn't helped. Yes, it's brought in revenue, but there was absolutely points of a little a stumble from this when it first went through, and now it's become the common type thing. So that's, again, another thing of just because we got to make sure we're protecting our clients, our consumers.
And I think too, you mentioned this a couple of times. You're not saying, hey, we don't want to, you want to be involved. You would like to be involved on this stuff. So say it does go the opposite way and not the way that you're hoping, are you still going to continue your involvement?
Yeah. Asher, I know will chime in on this, but I'm going to speak right here. And, Asher is our Director of Government Affairs here at the association. We have a very strong committee chaired by Jack Gross, and I'm on that committee myself. And I know our Government Affairs Committee is very active with other municipalities, including City of Allentown. We're going to still stay involved, stay connected with whoever it is, because we work pretty much every day with the municipalities, whether it's certificate of occupancy inspections, any issues they're having on that end, trying to get it out to our membership. Asher could probably speak on it. We have a great database on our website for our agents, our diverse members, 3,000 plus members we have, that they can go on there and see what municipality is requiring what sewer lateral inspections, sidewalk inspections. So that we have all that stuff that we're constantly communicating with the small municipalities to the larger cities. And Asher, you could probably touch on it.
Yeah. We're going to continue our involvement because if this passes, similar to property taxes, city council is going to have to end up approving any increase of the D transfer tax. So again, if voters unlock it, we're going to be there if there is an increase proposed, which again, it's been publicly sought, a 0.5% increase. So we're going to be there, obviously advocating against that. And it's been brought up here, but there's no cap as far as how high it can go. City of Reading and Pittsburgh are at 5%. Philadelphia is at 4.2%. So really, and the finance director for the city of Allentown has projections all the way up to 5% and how much revenue that would generate. So we anticipate this being a lasting involvement on our end, because it's an inequitable tax, because it only targets home buyers and sellers for services that are shared by everybody. I mean, you don't see us coming out against property tax increases, because that happens everywhere. It's just sort of a fact of life. But at least that the burden of those costs for programs and community services are shared by everybody. But this is just targeting home buyers and sellers. So it's not an equitable tax at all.
Right. And of course, we want to educate people. That's the whole point of this. And I know I brought the website up here and there, but you're encouraging people to head to VoteNoAllentownTaxHike.com, where all this stuff that hopefully we explained, well, you guys explained, a little bit more in depth. You know, we've learned from it, but if you want to really dive in deeper, you can go to this website, available in English or Spanish, and read through at your leisure before you hit the polls next week.
And we'll be out there. We will be out there at the polls.
Well, you made your signs and you have your T-shirts. You have to be.
Seriously,
you're welcome.
There's no other day to be out. What am I going to be doing election day? I don't know. That's going to be a wild day. I'm looking forward to it. I guess it's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. Just getting through it all.
Right. Well, just the amount of texts I'm getting on my phone, like that'll be a nice respite when we're done with that. But
we haven't gone that far.
No.
Yeah.
Not texting anybody.
Nope.
So yes, we can thank you for that. One less text. But in all seriousness, I really appreciate you guys coming on. To the purpose of this, again, is to go through and kind of explain it. When you came to me and said, hey, could we kind of just talk about it? I thought this was a great opportunity to, go through those line by line and really try to explain it, and then give people more access to more resources at the website. So again, no matter how you decide to vote, the information's here. You can't say we didn't try to share it with you, and I appreciate your time all day. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
George.
George.
It's been our
Appreciate
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.